episode 228.
Regardless of what the day-to-day is, no matter where you are in the industry, without each other, we don't survive.
Welcome, Aftermarketers, to On Point from Remarkable Results Radio and a special interview from an auto care industry professional. On Point. Welcome, Aftermarket professionals, to Remarkable Results Radio and to episode 228. It's the second of a three-part series on the University of the Aftermarket's Leadership 2.0 Executive Leadership Course. This is Carm Capriato, your podcast host. This episode is brought to you by Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Search for parts, get the latest technical updates, and sign up for the new Garage Rewards loyalty program at their all-new website, fmmotorparts.com. Hey, you can find this episode's show notes at remarkableresults.biz/E228. Now, there you'll find my guest's bio and key talking points from this episode. A sincere welcome to my new Facebook friends, Rod Maher, Jason Deloach, John Gillespie, and Ed Hiller, and to my new LinkedIn connections, Linda Wang, Steve Lee, and Robert Taylor. Don't forget about my Carm Capriato YouTube channel, where every Town Hall Academy and every podcast is there for your edification. Having been a graduate of this University of the Aftermarket program when it was called 2010 just a few years ago, I felt that a three-part series with a program participant or graduate would interest my listeners and showcase this important educational opportunity. Now, when I got the idea of doing this three-part series on Leadership 2.0, I spoke to Brian Cruikshank, the director of the University of the Aftermarket at Northwood University, to provide me a guest. You can also hear Brian in his own episode, number 75. Leadership 2.0 is an intensive and intellectually challenging two-week executive development and learning experience that's deeply rooted in the theoretical and practical application of automotive aftermarket leadership principles. Previous attendees have represented manufacturing, retail operations, wholesale distributing, association management, program group management, and yes, the service professional. Now, the service professionals that I've spoken to that have attended Leadership 2.0, they tell me that their understanding of the entire industry was expanded and their respect for the importance of their role in the auto care industry was solidified. Lifelong friends from all segments of the industry are formed at Leadership 2.0. Now, meet Ciara Pegoda, sales manager at DePaco from Reno, Nevada. I'm delighted, and so will you, to hear Ciara talk about her experience at Leadership 2.0. As you'll discover, she brings an energizing insider's view of this executive-level course. This is part 2, and we talk about the project, her team name, the Jetsons, which gives you an indication as to what her project may be about. We also talk about the power of networking and other team projects. Keep in mind, there are 2 additional episodes that round out the series. Part 1, episode 227, discusses the first week, and Part 3, episode 229, discusses the final and second week of the course. See the show notes page for episode talking points and additional bio information on Ciara Pegoda. Now get ready to meet Ciara Pegoda, sales manager, DePaco. Hey, welcome Ciara Pegoda, sales manager for DePaco, to our special series discussion on Leadership 2.0 and her personal experience in this University of the Aftermarket program. Welcome back.
Thank you, Carm. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back.
Glad to have you here. Now, Leadership 2.0 has been described as a program of intense and intellectually challenging two-week executive development and learning experience, deeply rooted in the theoretical and practical application of automotive aftermarket leadership principles. Did it hold up to its billing?
Yes. I think one of the best things is, regardless of the teachings and what the actual class may hold, the relationships that you get and the conversations between classes, after classes, and all they're encompassing are super intense and really kind of broaden your horizons in that aspect. So you get a lot of knowledge, not just in class, but then interspersed before and after.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it. Our first episode, we talked about the your first week. It was a great, enlightening episode, and what I want to cover in this one is that break between week 1 and week 2. And remember, to you and the listeners, I've done this about 14 years ago when it was called 2010.
We talked about your 2010 course, or not necessarily yours, but the 2010 course quite a bit. And we actually, at one point, reviewed some of the premonitions and group projects that they had talked about and what they saw coming.
And ours was called Be Car Care Aware, just in case you'd like to know about that. It still rambles right now. Okay, so you end up with, out of week one, you are all assigned a project, or I believe you all pick your project and you pick your team name.
Correct.
I love your team name. You talked about it last episode. It's the
Jetsons. And we chose the Jetsons because our topic was emerging technologies. So with the Jetsons, they were kind of the futuristic, right? We looked at George and Judy and their robot, Rosie, I think was her name. And you look at everything they were doing, and short of the flying car, we were like, gosh, everything's really coming true. The iWatch and all sorts of different things, robots in our house monitoring how we sleep, and the refrigerator, all those things. And then it was the flying car. By the time we actually did our presentation the day before, there had been announcements, I believe it was by Boeing, about their flying car. It just kind of came to light. And so we called ourselves the Jetsons to show all that technology.
I love it, and I think you're bringing up some great points. I think Star Trek and the Jetsons had it nailed.
Right.
Okay, in the time off between the two meetings, what is that? 4 months, 5 months?
So the first one was in August, and then the next one was in March. So
a lot of time off, and you have 6, 7 people in your team. How many?
We had 6, and I think I'm going to question myself, but I think it was 6 of us, definitely 5. And, getting the schedules to coordinate and trying to figure out when you can meet and how you can meet and the best way to meet, different time zones, different demands in life, got the holidays in there. It became pretty interesting pretty quick, as far as also, it's a big priority when you're leaving class, right? Because it's top of mind, and you leave and you get back into real life and real demands, family.
And you're all supposed to work on a section of the project.
Yes.
The work gets done almost in an intensive last-minute effort, doesn't it?
What? Yes. That's exactly what happened with us.
I remember.
It's fresh in your brain. So we had a very similar experience. We thought, oh gosh, well, maybe we'll all meet at Apex. Well, who has a spare minute at Apex, let alone if you do, that it's going to be spent doing the project, right? And if we were going to meet on the project, it was probably going to be a very social call, not one where we really dove in. So we had a couple calls that we set up, and things were hit or miss, whether we actually could all meet. Maybe 1 or 2 people was missing. But we would meet, and those calls were pretty entertaining for the most part, because sometimes it would be, okay, now what are we talking about again today, and at what point are we at? So we really kind of divvied it up and agreed that in the end, we would meet and get it all done while we were there, because we had great outlines for each one of our sections, but putting it all together was really the toughest part.
Did each of you take a different section? I mean, was one person surveying? Was one person writing the plan? Give me an idea.
For us, we broke it down into different categories of the emerging technologies. So everything from how we were going to travel in the future and what those emerging technologies are going to look like for us. Do we have these autonomous cars, driverless cars? Other one was all of the different sensors and things that are included in the vehicles right now, even now compared to 2009, the differences of how much is going on. Another one looked at the companies that are all emerging and the partnerships, because it's taking more than just a car company. It's taking car companies and tech companies to pair together. We talked about Delphi's Mobileye quite a bit, and the partnerings. There's rumblings that Tesla may have it, but anybody else moving forward is got to be like a partnership, whether it be between Ford and Google. Or there was a list. Let me tell you, there's about 17 companies that we uncovered that were really pushing the envelope in developing technology. So we split up all of these different sectors and really looked at all of the different areas that were encompassing emerging technologies. And in the end, we probably should have narrowed our topic a little bit more. But man, it was really interesting and really eye-opening as far as how much is going to impact us within the next 10 years.
What did you learn?
I learned that I think I'd be scared to death to ride in an autonomous car.
If you got in one today, I mean, if in 10 years and the technology's been out there, you would probably be okay?
One of the things I learned was that there's definitely going to be a convergence of steps towards how we really take on emerging technologies. And one of those steps is going to be the trust of the call it passengers, if you will, or owners of vehicles, to actually take that step and consider that a viable option. And for me, we all kind of thought about it as, would you just hop in a car and not pay attention? Would you just hop in a car and start twiddling away on your cell phone? Or heaven forbid, you have an actual conversation with the other passengers, and look at that. And that for me was a real eye-opener, is when would I trust that? Because right now we hop in a car and we trust the backup cameras. We trust the anti-lock brakes. We trust a lot of that. But at first it was definitely foreign. So to think about how that will come about within the next couple of years and where our trust level will go was interesting for me to watch, because it just makes me a little bit nervous. But also thinking that my kids are in that generation of, will they have driver's licenses, or will they just press a button and, their little car will tootle on over and pick them up from school and go park itself? And, how does that even look?
I interviewed Derek Kaufman. His episode came out. It's episode 215. He's from Schwartz Advisors. We had a very futuristic discussion, and we talked about, so the car takes dad to work, comes back, takes mom to work, comes back, hangs out. The kids come home from school. Susie goes to dance. Car comes back. Johnny goes to soccer. The car goes and picks up dad. Then it picks up mom. And the car is busy, and we just get in it, and it does what it has to do. Now, is that something that you may have discovered during your project?
Yes, that was definitely something that we talked about. And the other thing with that is that it really enables a whole new generation. And that generation is, well, two, I guess you'd say. The younger, right, where Bobby and Susie couldn't get to dance class or soccer without the parents before. Now they have a means to get where they need to go. It frees up the parents to not have to be shuttles all the time. So it enables a younger generation to get to and from, but it also enables that, like my grandmother. She's 94, she'll be 95 in December, but instead of relying on family to take her everywhere, it could actually give her a little more freedom to get to and from her doctor's appointments or her salon or whatever it is that she wanted to do. Or if she just plain wanted to hop and, come have dinner with us on a Thursday night, it wouldn't be coordinating a bunch of rides. It would be allowing her to just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to summon this vehicle and it's going to come get me, and we'll move on from there.
Can you imagine you're 90 and your daughter just goes to her smartphone, presses a couple of buttons and says, hey, Mom, sending the car?
It's very interesting because not only can you send it, but then you can watch her whole journey.
Yeah, this isn't Jetsons, is it? That's what you discovered.
No, it's now. Yes, it's very interesting. And they talked about how just in, I think it was the Chevy Tahoe, I think it was 2009, there was about 70 sensors. And then 2015, there was, I don't even remember, it was a couple hundred sensors. And the jump in just the technology within the last 5-6 years and what it's done and who's pushing the envelope and how, from droids and then drones, not droids, and then how all the technology has to talk to each other. But really the scary thing is where all it impacts, and it's not just the automotive aftermarket. It is our infrastructure. It's all the legislation that has to take place. Insurance companies, what do insurance companies look like in a couple of years? Are you really insuring your car anymore? Or are you insuring yourself? Who carries that insurance? How does that shift and change? And then can all the legislation keep up with it for laws and all the transportation that's going on?
You've always counted on Moog to keep you ahead of the pack when it comes to chassis innovation. Well, they've done it again. Most recently launched is the Moog ball joint with a pre-installed integral dust boot. It's designed exclusively for compression-loaded suspension systems, providing superior strength and durability for these types of vehicle applications. The dust boot is made from higher strength materials and comes pre-installed, saving you time because it's easier to install. It also has a larger contact area against the stud, which makes a more effective seal. For your customers, the unit uses Moog's powdered metal gusher bearing that provides longer life and controlled radial and axial movement. You get the industry's leading coverage of 10,000 SKUs, including 4,600 for foreign applications. Hey, you've been installing Moog confidently for years, and now you know why. Being a top technician takes a lot of hard work, and you can't do it alone. I believe you would agree, vehicle technologies, repair procedures, and diagnostics are changing every year. That's where Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Guru Garage can help. The Garage Gurus program has been designed by and for technicians and offers the most comprehensive program of support tools in the industry. There's a nationwide network of Guru on-site training and technology centers where you can get hands-on training with the equipment and tools needed to solve real work-related challenges. And when you can't make it to on-site training, there's Gurus Online, a 24/7 online academy with a huge catalog of course options. Garage Gurus also helps where it matters most, on the job, in your shop. Their Gurus on the Go technology fleet, well, they bring the latest products and technology demos right to you. If you need a quick part lookup, the Gurus On Demand app gives you fast, easy, and accurate info. And when you need help with a technical issue, their bilingual ASE-certified Gurus on Call are ready to help. And this year, they're introducing their Garage Rewards loyalty program, which gets you points towards free gear from your favorite Federal Mogul Motor Parts brands. It costs nothing to join, and you could start earning points immediately. So head on over to fmgaragegurus.com, learn all about the Garage Gurus program, and start earning points today. Well, it sounds like you really dug deep in this project.
I'm actually surprised sometimes how much I actually retained for the amount of time that we really did it in a crunched, because you get it all together. But I think it also showed the power of a group and what the power of working together can get done, because the presentations were great. It's
amazing how it all ends up coming together. Now, did you actually have a face-to-face meet?
When we got there, we did.
Only when you got there. So everyone worked on the project separately. Did you each make your own PowerPoint deck or from your section?
Yes. So we each made our own PowerPoint decks. So face to face, we did a couple calls. I think only one call we had everyone there, but otherwise, meeting face to face, we did while we were there. Someone did the format for the PowerPoint, and then we just kept dropping them in, and we had actually way too much information, but hey, better than that than to not have enough.
So you arrive, you meet, you get together, you work on your final plan. There's a lot of competition going on between how many groups? 5 or 6 groups?
Yes, there was 8 groups. And yes, because it was the largest class that we've ever had, or they've ever had for Leadership 2.0 or Leadership 2010, whatever it may be. And so there was 8 groups, and the competition was fun because while everybody kept saying, oh, so-and-so's is going to be great, or, we're not being, we just want to make sure we get it done. Really, truly inside, you could watch the competition happening. And so it was fun. And the presentations were an absolute great time to actually watch take place. They were fun. I think we all probably learned something from at least 1 or 2 of them. And, maybe you were an expert on a certain area, but there was definitely some great camaraderie that was going into the presentations as well.
Okay, take us to the first day of the second round. You're getting together to discuss your project, and you have days where you work on it and then you present Thursday?
So we had one afternoon to work on them. Otherwise, it was class as usual, and we had an afternoon to finalize them. So if we met any other time, we had to schedule that outside of class. When
I went back in the day to 2010, we worked every night. Was that the case?
We did not. Some groups may have. We met. We definitely met in the afternoon, the day that we had.
But didn't you work on case studies or problems? That came up during the week.
Yeah, so we would work on different. If there was a case study or anything like that to work on, we would, but not as much as the first round. The second round, I definitely feel like the group projects were a focus. I would say there definitely was an element of it didn't feel like work because the relationships were so great. Everybody was so happy to see each other again. It really was fun no matter what we were doing, no matter what we were talking about. So maybe it's just blending in because it was fun.
Listen, as we take this episode down to a conclusion, and this episode is all about the project, what's your biggest takeaway from it?
My big takeaway was that I would learn how to work with people in different time zones and different schedules and priorities. Well, realistically, you do that every day with your own coworkers, your clients, and your customers, and or vendors, anything like that. So you do that anyways. So I think you almost put too much thought into how a group project will work because in the end, you do that every day anyways. You work with different time zones, you work with different schedules and different priorities. So for me, it was really the the group coming together and putting forth a finalized product that everybody was pleased with and confident with, and how quickly that was done when everybody had that vested interest at the end.
In the clutch, everyone came through.
Correct.
And you relied on each other. You didn't find that different than in your current work situation. It was just, it happened.
Right. And because you're not working with those people every day, you don't know necessarily the reliability, right? You know that they're going to show up, they're there, but whereas someone I work with every day, I have a little more handle on, okay, they tend to be tardy or they tend to be super early and prepared. This is a group that, okay, you're hoping that they pull it through, and everybody did, which was great.
It costs a lot of money to go. There are some scholarships, but you're talking about people that didn't get there kicking and screaming. They got there because they wanted to be there.
True, and if they didn't, they wouldn't have come the second time.
Probably really looking forward to doing the project.
Absolutely.
Can you share some names of the other projects besides yours?
Yes. So the one that won was the Millennials. So a play on millennials and how it's very much viewed as a me culture. And that one, they won, and it was excellent. They did a fantastic job.
Was it really about millennials, or were they trying to dispel that moniker?
They were trying to really show what they were looking for. And so, yes, in the fact, they did dispel it because they said, really, they're not looking for anything different than you or me. They're looking for security. They're looking for a great place to work, advance their careers, so on and so forth. It was just, how do you reach them? How do you communicate with them? Except that it is a little bit different, but they're really not, they're not this mythological creature. They're not unicorns. They're not super strange, right? And they're a huge part of the workforce. So instead of continuing to silo them, accept it and move forward and move on and quit putting this pigeonhole on them. So I think that was a great, they did a great job, and they really showed how to also dispel that, the aftermarket is it's not just for men. It's not just for people who have a ton of knowledge of automotives. It's for everyone, and there is a place for everyone, and that you can learn because it's a great community of learning, sharing, and growing. So that was a really good one. And then we had a couple others on the impact of how, I don't remember the team name. I should grab it, but how like Amazon's going to impact with them now selling automotive parts. It was called Chasing E-Tail. That's what it was. And how the different retailers and Amazon were going to impact the automotive aftermarket sales, the sales chains, and that one was good as well. I mean,
would love to be a fly on the wall in that one.
Yes, they're funny. And then the telematics. We talked a lot about telematics. We had some great political interpretations or impersonations on that one. It was very funny. They did it as like a political debate, and it was pretty funny. Definitely good entertainment.
Thank you for helping me understand what the project was all about in Leadership 2.0. Ciara Pegoda from DePaco, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Carm.
Thank you, Ciara Pegoda, for your insights into Leadership 2.0, the University of the Aftermarket's Executive Development and Learning Program. This is part 2 of a 3-part series with Ciara, and in part 1, episode 227, we discuss her first week, and in part 3 of this series, coming up, episode 229, we finish with the final week of the program. Find Ciara's bio and episode talking points at remarkableresults.biz/E228. Share and tell a friend about these digital audio broadcasts from aftermarket professionals that bring insights, trends, best practices, and of course, stories of personal achievement. Hey, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email at carm@remarkableresults.biz. Drop me a line on show ideas or guest suggestions, or just to offer me your guidance on the show. Connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Hey, thanks for your loyal support of the podcast. Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,